So, I'll show you the range of motion I'm going to need with this stick for takeoff. Somewhere in this area here, so just try not to be blocking that area. And at some point after takeoff, I'm going to have to reach down and lower this lever.
All right.
After that, the majority of the flying is going to be done in this small little motion. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, warm it gets in here when it's closed.
That's quick, yeah.
All right, the engine check is all done. Everything's great. On the correct frequency. Any idea where you want to fly to? Get up there and figure it out?
Yeah, I guess we'll figure it out.
All right, man. And Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees on the roll, 13. Applying full power, this is my throttle right here. I'm steering the aircraft on the ground with the use of my feet.
Left and right?
That's right, yep. Just gently pulling the nose of this aircraft off the ground. And there she goes. It may be a little turbulent for the first 500 feet to 1,000 foot of the climb, just because the sun is pretty high in the sky right now, causing some thermals.
Right.
The higher we get, the smoother it will get. All right, I'll get rid of these flaps. You don't need those anymore. So you probably noticed when flying around in a chopper on a hot summer day, if they fly near the water, it tends to get a little smoother.
Yeah, they like it.
Yeah. So
anytime they can cross a lake, they'll try to. Exactly.
And reason being is the sun gets absorbed by the water. It doesn't release these hot air coming up underneath us, causing all this turbulence.
Right. Yeah, you definitely feel it when we're crossing land, and you'll just drop every once in a while.
Yeah. So we're now coming up on 1,000 feet over the ground.
Approaching altitude. Leaving altitude.
I'll just climb her up just a little bit.
Traffic, this is Scott F1. We're going to backtrack 08 towards 13.
SportStar Juliet Kilo Yankee, it's Challenger Triple Whiskey. Can you say your position and intention?
We're just entered runway 2608. We're going to backtrack it towards the threshold of 13 for takeoff.
No, I believe you were looking for me. Juliet Kilo Yankee is airborne off of 13, now at 2,200 feet. Going to be turning north towards Wissega Beach, climbing to 2,500.
Okay, we copy, thanks. Edenvale traffic, Challenger Triple Whiskey is 3 miles east of the field, descending down to circle altitude, join me straight in downwind 13 Edenvale.
So that's him talking there?
Yep. And Juliet Kilo Yankee has you in sight.
And traffic in the circuit, what's your position now?
Juliet Kilo Yankee is now northeast of the field at 2,500, heading towards Wissega Beach and maintaining 2,500, right on the crosswind.
And skydive aircraft at Edenvale, you have time to backtrack and take off before we get close.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. We're going to turn and burn now, thanks.
Alright, so we're going to avoid all these guys, get away from them. So those skydive guys that are taking off in a few seconds, they're going to be dropping their people. See that park there? That's Klondike Park.
Okay, yeah.
They'll be dropping their skydivers there.
No way.
Wow, the air's actually very turbulent. It's pushing us up. Just keeps pushing up and up and up. Might as well get her to 3,000 feet. So you've probably seen this before. Altimeters are calibrated for sea level.
And Bill, it's Kilo Zulu Bravo, just currently over Woodland Beach, heading up the coast towards Midland, 2.6.
Thank you for the heads up. And switching frequency, Juliet Kilo Yankee, departing the zone to the northeast, 2,500, climbing to 3,000. There we go, enough of that. So yeah, this airport we started at was 700 feet above sea level. So right now we're 2,000 feet over the ground because we just minus that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot smoother right up here.
Yeah, you can feel it.
A little bit of a bump, maybe 200 more feet. It's always best first time you take the controls not to be punished with all these thermals, right?
Yeah.
If you find it still a little hot, I can pull that sunshade down to here. It's up to you.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Traffic, November Echo Charlie, rolling on runway 31 for the circuit. Collingwood traffic, Golf Zulu Delta Golf is turning final, runway 31, stop and go.
Trying to find that sweet spot of air. Go right for the water, it'll clean up. So I might as well start showing you how everybody starts their training to fly these things. You're probably right-handed like most people, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So am I. But when I started flying, when everybody starts flying, we have to start from that side of the plane. So you're gonna have to put your left hand on that control stick. Okay. Just gently grip it. You don't want to grip it with a bare grip or anything.
Yeah.
And you need your right hand available for all this other stuff. Your gauges, your radio, this stuff, writing, stuff like that, right? So I just want you to feel the kind of the motions I'm doing on this control stick to get this plane going straight. Every once in a while when these thermals kind of hit us, I just give a little push on that stick to kind of correct it.
Okay.
Right
just
there.
a quick...
That's it, just a little tug if those thermals are pulling us.
Okay.
Now when we get to the water, I'm anticipating it to be very, very smooth, so we won't have to do much of that.
Collingwood traffic,
and once we get out
Charlie
there,
turning downwind for
once we get out there, I'm going to walk you through a turn. So you kind of just feel that control stick, feel what I'm going to do to turn this aircraft. And we're going to do a couple turns and a climb and a descent, and then from there, I'll let you just play with it.
Approaching altitude.
There's a good one there. I'm also controlling stuff with my feet as well. Not too much today, but the feet control the rudders. The rudder that's located on the tail of the plane.
Okay.
On the roll, runway 31, 1 second.
Similar to the way I was steering on the ground, if I want to take the tail of the plane and push it that way, I push my right foot down, which pushes the nose this way. And you'll kind of see what happens with the nose when I do this. See that?
Right.
And if I go left.
Okay.
So what that's doing is coordinating the way the plane is flying through the air. If you find the plane is tugging a lot one way or the other, you just kind of push it a little bit to kind of counterbalance that, to balance it out, make it fly smoother straight. They've become extremely useful to use the rudders if we're being pushed a lot by the wind.
Right.
Now right now the wind is extremely calm, so it's not really beating us up. See how it's starting to get really smooth here?
Yeah, for sure.
There's that smooth air I was looking for.
Yeah, that's nice.
Traffic, November Echo Charlie turning base for runway 31, stop and go.
Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the way to turn this aircraft. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a left turn. We're going to turn that way, but keep your hand on the control stick. I want you to feel the range of motion that's required to turn the plane. A left turn, all it is a pull of the stick that way. So here we go. There's a left turn. You'll notice the wings banking.
Charlie turning final for runway 31, stop and go.
Now, if I don't stop this turn, it'll get tighter and tighter and tighter and keep flipping the plane on its side. So I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. Now we're out of it. Now to go right, we do the exact same thing. We'll just come right.
31, full stop.
Collingwood with the sake of each traffic, Kilo Zulu Bravo coming out to the mouth of the river and heading westbound along the shoreline.
What's your altitude there, Bill?
I got you on 2.2. Coming right at me.
that's all it takes to turn the plane. Now the challenging thing when you do the turn is to try not to let the nose go down or up. So that's what everybody finds a little bit tricky. So that being the case, is I'm going to walk you through how to take this plane and go further up and go down. And that way you'll feel the motion of that. So right now we're pegging nicely, almost right at 3,000 feet.
Yep.
If I want to climb this plane, the best thing to do is look with your eyes outside of the aircraft and watch what happens if we just pull that stick back a little bit. Nose is coming up. You could probably feel a little bit of the gravity in your body changing.
Calling traffic.
And now we have confirmation that we're climbing. You'll see that needle going up.
So once you kind of bring it up, it'll keep climbing, keep climbing.
It will keep climbing.
So you don't have to keep pulling it, keep pulling it.
Exactly. It depends on how fast you want to climb. So right now I'm at my limitation of how fast I can climb. There's my speed. That's the slowest I want to be going. So if I want to climb faster, I'm going to take this and add power.
So it's not changing the stick, you're just increasing throttle.
Exactly. See how it started pulling the nose up for us?
Yeah.
And maintaining the same speed.
Right.
Now it's getting a little slow, so I'm going to push the stick forward just to speed it up. There we go. I don't like to be below 60 with this aircraft because it starts getting dangerous. Right around there is a perfectly safe climb.
And it's just slowly working its way up.
That's right. We're climbing at a rate of 700 feet per minute right now. That's a decent climb.
That's pretty quick, yeah.
So now I'm going to let this nose come forward. It's going to level off.
Calling for traffic, Golf 2, Delta Golf.
Now that I'm still full power, I'm going to have to reduce my power, and we're going to start redlining this engine. See that?
Yeah. Because you're not having to pull any more of the incline.
Exactly. There's no more load on it, right? No different than a car, right? Like if you were screaming up a mountain, right? And you're holding your foot down on the gas pedal right to the floor, and you get up there, you'll race that engine like crazy.
Exactly.
So now we came up to a nice airspeed. We're safely flying. We're at 3,500 feet. If I want to descend this plane, it's just a little push forward.
Very little.
That's it. So now you can tell the nose is pointing down. And if I want to go slower, I just reduce the power because we don't need power to go down. I'll just reduce it, reduce it, reduce it, and it'll begin to descend quicker. So this gives us our confirmation of the rate of the descent here. Now we're dropping at 950 feet per minute, 1,000 feet per minute. And if you look forward, you'll kind of get an idea that you can tell that nose is pointing down. We're looking
for
down.
sure.
So we can take this, just pull back, we'll level it off here.
Approaching altitude.
That's pretty much back to level again right there. I'm going to apply power again so we can just cruise along. So that's the very basics. Now the more challenging thing is trying to do the turn without allowing that nose to come down or up, right? So at your discretion, I'm going to keep my hand very close to this controller. I'll keep my hand on the throttle. Feel free to just play with that control stick. See what the plane does.
Collingwood traffic, November Echo Charlie turning base for runway 31, full stop. Collingwood traffic.
So right now you're in a gradual descent, that's fine.
Runway 31.
Right around there is level. So as I noticed I could feel you pull the nose up, I just added some power.
Very, very little movements.
That's right.
Incredible.
Collingwood traffic.
So there is an art, it's a balancing act between the stick and the throttle. When you're pulling the plane up, you're usually adding power. When you're pushing it down, you're decreasing your power. As long as you know that you have a set area for level flight, which is your RPM range, and this plane likes to cruise along level anywhere from 4,600 RPM to 5,000 RPM. So right now we're cruising nice right here.
Yeah.
But if we want to climb, I want to increase the RPM from there.
Okay.
If we want to descend, I'll decrease it below 4,600. Yeah, so feel free to do whatever you like with this. This airspace is free and clear. We don't need permission to do anything. We can just kind of look around for other planes and turn and do whatever we like.
traffic, officer Delta Golf is down and clear of all runways.
So you just want to kind of push it and hold it for a turn?
Exactly. And sometimes you'll notice the turn will start getting steeper and steeper, so you got to bring it back a little bit, right? Very nice. Not bad at all, man.
Leaving altitude.
So now that we're up here, is there any particular place you'd like to fly over?
I don't know, how far can we go?
We've probably got another 45 minutes of flying to do, so we can go 45 minutes. We can make it to Blue Mountain and back. We can make it, if we follow the shoreline.
Yeah, you want to, let's do blue.
If you want to do blue, sure.
Yeah.
Collingwood traffic, November Echo Charlie, down and clear.
Getting a little more comfortable with that stick?
Yeah. It's, I just can't get over how fine the movements are. Like,
yeah.
You're moving it, you know, quarter inch here, quarter inch there.
That's right.
And that's all it takes.
Yeah, the movements in smooth flight are very, very minute because we're moving relatively fast. If the air starts getting turbulent, I slow the plane down by reducing some throttle. Then your movements become more violent and more drastic, right?
So like when you're saying on the takeoff where you needed more room to play.
Exactly, because we're at a slow speed. The air moving over the wings and stuff is not moving as fast, so you need more motion of the controls, right? Similar to a car on the highway. You can change lanes with a finger like this, right? When you're doing 120K.
Yeah.
But when you're on doing 40K, you got to go like that. Same thing, right? So the only thing I would say is we should at least follow one thing, is we'll follow maybe the shoreline. Okay. Because that way I'm going to radio to the other pilots in this area that we're over the shoreline so they stay away from us.
Okay.
If you want to feel what the pedals do, you can put your 2 feet up on your pedals there, and I'll just walk you through how they work a little bit. So the way it works is if you were to push your right foot down, you have to allow the left to rise. It's like a teeter-totter, right? So if you were to try to push your right down without letting the left rise, you won't get it down.
Okay,
right? But even the motions on that are very, very minute. So just try applying, say, your right foot a little bit.
Beach area traffic, this is Scott. 9,800 feet. We're about 2-3 minutes back on our drop on 11.5. We're flying the Wasaga Paradrop. Yeah, Wasaga Beach Unicom for Skydive 1, just looking for clearance.
How's that feeling? Different, huh?
Yeah.
Clear to drop, Skydive 1. And Wasaga Beach area traffic. SportStar India Juliet Kilo Yankees just north of the Wasaga River at 3,200, remaining on the side of the water, traveling westbound towards Blue Mountain.
So this is neat. We're going to watch these guys start coming out of the sky here. It'll be directly in front of us. We just have to avoid them. So we'll just stay over the water like this.
Okay.
So they are up at 10,000 feet. I can't even see them.
I can't see them either, no.
But any second, we're going to see these little guys dropping out of the sky.
It's that quick, eh? They can get up there that fast?
Yeah. Yeah, so what he would have just done is went full power and just pulled back, right?
Just straight up?
Maybe zigzag up there, up there, up there, and up there. Usually a little more efficient than doing a spiral climb. You can do a spiral climb, it just takes a little more energy.
Yeah.
Let's just come just a little bit more out in the water here. What I fear is there's a guy on the ground with a radio, and if he sees it looks like we're flying towards him, he's going to panic and tell the guy up there.
Cancel?
Yeah. What they'll do is they'll announce at the time of letting the people out of the plane, jumpers away. You're doing quite well. I'm not even on the controls at all. I'm relaxed here.
Yeah, this is good. You can see that little smoke rising from the tree line there. That's what we're always looking for.
Of course.
Yeah.
Especially in the North Country, right?
Yep.
You want to check if it's a campfire or a forest fire, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we have detection planes, and they're on predetermined grid routes.
Oh, okay.
So their job is to fly for 4.5 hours a day.
Wow.
And they're trying to report any smokes they see, and if it's a fire, they'll take down information on it and that. And so they have detection pilots, and then they have summer students who come and sit side by side like this. And
that's pretty efficient.
Oh, very, yeah. They're really good at it. Because even that small smoke, it doesn't take much for you to see it over the tree line.
Yep.
Great area to fly over too, Wasaga Beach.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Gorgeous.
Almost looks like we're in the tropics.
Yeah. So, in order to get your private license, what are the hours required? And
all right, so there's different types of licenses people can get. The private
jumpers in the air over Wasaga Beach. Do not overfly the drop zone 11,000 feet and below.
Yeehaw. There's different licenses you can get. The private pilot license is what most people hear about. That allows you to fly multiple-seater aircraft with a single engine in the daytime only, and unless you go higher and get a night rating and stuff like that. The bare minimum for that, you'd have to do 40 hours with an instructor and 20 hours solo.
That's it?
That's it, but when you look at the costs for that license range usually around $230 an hour plus tax.
That's true, yeah.
Per hour. And that adds up, you're somewhere in the $12,000 range now, right? This license for this aircraft falls into the advanced ultralight category. So it's almost a way of cheating it.
Because it is so small?
Because it is light. Years ago we had a category called ultralight. Really those were like that one you might have seen in my hangar there. It's very basic. It's a bunch of poles with sails attached to it, right?
Okay.
And like a snowmobile engine. This category came around sort of in the States called light sport aircraft. Well, Canada didn't know what to do with it, so they just plopped it in the category of ultralight. In the States, they call these light sports. Here, they're called ultralights as well. So your requirement to get a license for this aircraft, which is a two-seater, is really around 10 hours of flying time, but I don't know anybody capable of flying it in 10 hours.
You'll need more?
Yeah, 25 hours I find is average. 25 hours with an instructor and 5 hours solo. You're looking 30 hours for an entire license in this category at a rate of only $180 an hour. So what you're essentially learning to do, you're becoming a pilot for a fraction of the cost.
Yep.
You can fly a two-seater aircraft like this in the daytime, and you have to remain in Canada with it unless you upgrade to the private pilot license. Then you can leave Canada with this aircraft.
Wow.
So what a lot of people do, instead of blowing 11 grand to 17 grand on the private license, they'll come to a guy like me for 4,000 or 5,000 bucks, become a pilot, learn how to work these radios, learn all this stuff, all air law, weather, navigation, for only $180 an hour as opposed to $230 an hour.
Yeah, big difference.
And then when you're ready to upgrade, if you ever, some people find that a two-seater is good enough for them. The performances of this aircraft is not much different of that of a Cessna. It costs a fraction to fly this thing. Like the fuel burn on this is only 3.5 gallons an hour.
Wow.
Whereas Cessna, you're talking 7-8 gallons an hour.
Yeah. And now what fuel do you run out of this?
This can run off avgas, or it can also run off the good quality 93 octane no ethanol.
Wow.
So no ethanol is the key. So if you go to Shell and get the good stuff, that's okay.
Wow, that's you know, relatively cheap then.
Exactly.
For 3.5 gallons an hour.
That's right. So that being the case, like this category is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if you're just looking for recreational kind of stuff like this, you don't need anything bigger.
Yep.
Unless you want to carry more passengers. But
exactly. But that's where I still think this is the best way to start, because you're doing it. All the hard stuff is at the beginning when you learn how to fly.
Right.
Your first 20 hours are the hard stuff. After that, everything gets easier. You're just putting in time after 20
repetition,
hours.
Repetition, yeah.
So the hard stuff, why pay $230 an hour? I'm teaching the same thing, right?
Yeah. And now, if you wanted to switch over, like upgrade, were those hours transferable?
Certain amount of hours are. You get an automatic 10 that count. So if you put in 25 hours here, 10 count towards your private. However, when you go to that school to learn the private stuff, what are they going to teach you?
Yeah.
You're really just going up to fly, right?
You're just trying to get more hours out of it.
You're just banking hours at that point.
Right.
They're not really instructing you much because you're already a pilot.
If you're familiar with everything.
And the private license you have to recertify all the time.
Okay.
This license you don't.
It's a lifelong?
Pretty much. Well, it's lifelong or medical long until you have a medical issue that would cancel you from flying. Other than that, it's lifelong.
Wow. So for about $4,000 to $5,000, you can become a pilot for this.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's incredible.
And that's what keeps me in business. People realize that and they say, you know what? I'm only going to fly with me and my girlfriend, me and my wife, me and my best friend. Why do I need to fly a 4-seater, 8-seater, try to book it and rent it and all that stuff?
And I can only assume that it's more expensive to rent those planes.
It is. Yep.
And now, how does that work? Is there, like around here, would there be enough places to rent?
Guys like myself do it. So like this one I rent out, I rent it at $140 an hour.
And that's even not bad.
Yeah, and it comes with fuel. And of course, I work deals. So if somebody wants it for the day, you're not paying every hour. You're paying by the hours the engine is running. And then there's a cost, you know, maybe $50 to $40 an hour while it's on the ground if you take it from here to Kingston and spend the day there, right?
Okay.
Because every hour it's not here, it's not making money, right? So
for you, yeah.
So when the engine's running, it's $140 an hour. But what I find is a lot of people get the license in this category and right away they search and find one and buy one. You can get ones like similar to this, not with this digital stuff, but similar for as low as $35,000.
Wow.
And the cool thing is, as long as you don't break it, beat it up, you usually get back what you put into it.
Yeah, you can resell value.
Absolutely. Fly it for 5 years, Realize you want to change? As long as you didn't mess it up bad, you might lose 10%.
Midland area traffic, helicopter, Golf Kilo Victoria, EC-130 helicopter, just west of Victoria Harbor now. We're going to be passing south of the field for the shoreline of Wasaga Beach and inbound for Collingwood, 2,000 feet, any conflicts, Kilo Victor Sierra, Midland.
Yeah, it's over the past probably 2 years, this is something I've become more interested in. Over, you know, just experience at work, seeing things and getting to fly in different planes and helicopters and that.
It's a real cool way to get around and quick.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like even right now, we're not screaming through the sky, but we're doing 83 knots. That's not bad, man.
We're moving.
We're moving. Real fun on a board weekend day. You get in the thing and you just go flying somewhere, go have lunch.
Leaving altitude.
Go to a city you wouldn't even think of, right?
And now, like, these small local airports like that, they're easy to get access in and stuff like that.
You pretty much can access any airport in Canada except for something like Pearson.
Right, the international ones.
Yep. But even some of the internationals will allow you in, and I just know Toronto, they'll let you in for an emergency. Other than that, they won't let you into their airspace. But
so,
like Toronto Island Airport, I fly to that frequently.
So you just have to call ahead?
You just call on the radio on your way down.
And just let them know, hey, a plane's coming in.
That's it. Like we'd say, hey, Toronto Tower, this is India Juliet Kilo Yankee. We're 25 miles north at 3,000 feet, inbound for landing. And then they'll give us landing instructions. They'll say, maintain your heading. We'll notify you when we want you to lower down. And they'll tell you, okay, you're clear to enter into final approach.
Oh, that's nice and easy.
Very easy. Most airports in Canada, though, don't even have a tower. So the majority of stuff is like Edenvale, Collingwood. You just kind of talk to other pilots while you're doing your landing procedure.
So as long as no one's close by, you're good to go.
Yeah, you just let them know where you are. And part of learning to fly is learning all the procedures, right? Like out here, this is Class G airspace, meaning this is free to do whatever we want, but we're still supposed to broadcast our position, being responsible to other pilots so they know we're here.
Right.
If it was really busy and I heard a lot of people, I'd be on that radio a lot right now. But since I don't hear anybody, I'm not really seeing anybody, I'm not bothering taking up the airwaves, right?
Right.
Yeah, airports are relatively cheap. Most airports don't charge to land except for Toronto Island. I think they charge you 20 bucks every time you land there. But I don't know of any other airport that charges you to land because they want to sell gas, right?
That's where they make their money.
Exactly. Toronto Island knows that people fly in there to go sightseeing in the city, right? So they
can charge more.
They'll charge. Like up ahead past that point there, that's Meaford. And then straight ahead of us, sort of where the lake kind of comes in, that's Owen Sound. They got an airport. Past that is Wyerton.
Yep. Yeah, I guess when you look back, like there is little airports everywhere.
They're all over the place, especially grass strips, man.
Yeah. And you can land this on the field?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Part of the training is we train on grass fields as well. It's just a little bit different procedure. You don't want to be so aggressive on your brakes because you're on grass.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But it's little things like that you learn. How to get the wheels off the ground a little quicker when you're on the grass. So how about you take this thing and try to spin us 180 in the other direction.
Okay.
Whatever way you feel like turning. The hard thing to do is maintain an altitude while doing the turn. Not bad at all, man. Tiny bit of a descent, but not bad at all. You also find that when you're in the air, airports are very easy to see.
Yeah.
If you look off in the distance, right off in the right.
You can already see it.
Yeah, that's Collingwood.
Oh, okay.
So that's Collingwood's airport. You can see it stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, surprising, eh?
Yeah. I guess because it's such a wide, straight, paved section, it's easy to see compared to the roads that always do this, right?
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, we can't just go there and land like straight in. We have to do what we call the traffic pattern.
Traffic on 12285 Alpha Tango Delta is a 185 amphib. I'm 10 miles out over the bay and inbound, intending to cross overhead, actually join a left downwind for 3-1 Alpha Tango Delta. Anybody in the circuit over there?
So there's a guy 10 miles out over the bay. I think I see him.
And Collingwood traffic, helicopter Golf Kilo Victor
Very hard to see.
130 helicopter
Beside
just
us
approaching
there.
with Sega Beach now. We're going to do a simulated RNAV for 3-1.
Yeah.
And we're 10 minutes back now.
So he's kind of at maybe a little bit lower than us in altitude?
And Collingwood area traffic, SportStar India Julia Kilo Yankee directly north of Blue Mountain, just over the shoreline, traveling eastbound at 3,200 feet en route to Edenvale, maintaining 3,200.
So there he is now. You see him down there?
Yep.
Collingwood traffic, the inbound 185 over Nottawasaga is at 2,000 feet.
Pretty cool way to get around, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to anybody looking at doing flight training, try not to do what I did or a lot of other people did. And what that means is if you're going to do it, I recommend you do it and try not to put it on hold for too long. I did it when I was 16, right? So I didn't have the funds. So I would save up some money. I'd go to the airport, right? A month and a half later, I would go again.
Yeah.
2 months later, I would go again. So there's 3 hours in 3 months.
Really spaced out.
It was taking me too long to learn the stuff, and I was kind of wasting my money. Had I been smart, I would have saved up $1,000, put it aside, and said, okay, I'm going to do 3 hours, 2 hours this week, 2 hours next week. Bang, 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 bang. Get all these good lessons in real quick so you don't forget that skill.
Traffic, Golf Alpha Tango Delta is 185. We're going to straight in for 13 Alpha Tango Delta.
So what I find just by dealing with different students, I find a year is about a good target or quicker.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do it, yeah, it can be done in 2 months. That's almost a little too intense though.
Yeah, that's a lot of money up front there too.
Yeah, it's a lot of money up front and it's a lot of information you're taking in a short period of time. But I find the most successful people that, you know, do it within that year.
Leaving altitude.
Yeah, but the cost of this category is really no different than snowmobiling.
Absolutely.
Than owning a motorcycle. It's
Yep.
the same kind of expense, right? It's actually a little cheaper than snowmobiling. My sled burns, oh geez, 7 gallons an hour, you know?
Wide open, yeah. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of people see it as like an extremely distant hobby, like it's too expensive, I could never afford to do it, but...
It used to be, but not anymore.
Not anymore, like you look at, like you said, with the cost and that, for about $4,000 or $5,000, and then let's say a few $100s every time you want to go out.
Yep. 4 miles to the northwest. Inbound for straight in 13.
And what a lot of people do is they convince a friend to do it with them. So two guys will get together, do their flight training, And usually they'll pool together and buy a plane together.
That's
so
a good way.
$30,000 plane, 15 grand a piece.
Not too bad.
And you get your money back when you sell the damn thing.
There's a brand new sled or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, like look at the cost of sleds now, right? 17 grand out the door.
Yep.
For something decent. Some of them 20 grand.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've got a buddy who I think I could definitely pull into something like this.
That's the cheapest way, and you can learn off each other as well. Because what you get out of the lesson, he might not, and he might get something you might not. When you guys talk on the ground, you're going to learn something without having to pay the instructor, right?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, like there's certainly a lot of stuff to learn when it comes to flying.
Yeah.
But it's doable for anybody. I've had professors train, and I've had plumbers come up and train, and bricklayers. Like anybody can get it. You just got to focus on it. It's not too intensive in the math department where people think it is. It's not.
Approaching altitude.
Well, especially if you've got technology like this, right?
Exactly.
On a 1.5 mile final for 1-3.
And even the way we teach navigation, I start at like kindergarten level, man, the way I start teaching it, right from the basics. I don't like to assume you know anything about a compass. I tell you right the basics all the way up, and most schools do too. They want to make sure you truly understand it and you're not just skipping over it, right?
Yeah, and then you know that you've covered all the bases with them.
Yep. I do remember one time sitting in on somebody's ground school, one course that was being done, and the level seemed so far above the student's head, and I was thinking, guys, you guys are, yeah, it sounds nice that you're being all fancy and people feel like they paid for something fancy, but they're not understanding this stuff.
Yeah, it's way too over their heads.
Break it down, man, break it down, because there's a very simple way to do it. So the airport we came from is directly in front of us. You can see there, Edenvale.
Oh yeah.
And we still got time. We still got it like 18 minutes or so. Is there a particular way you want to try flying now?
I don't know.
Let's let you experience a little bit of thermal activity. Let's fly inland that way.
Okay.
What we will do is we'll just avoid not getting too close to Collingwood Airport.
Oh, I see it there.
Just sort of in this direction.
It looks like there's someone coming down the runway there.
Yeah, I think he just landed. So you will notice a noticeable difference when we start crossing over top of land.
Collingwood traffic, Alpha Tango Delta's backtracking 1-3.
That stick's going to get pretty exciting. And it just takes sometimes some fast corrections. If you feel that left wing lift up, push it back down. That's all you got to do.
Okay.
You just fight it a little bit, like here, there, and everywhere.
Approaching altitude.
You live close by?
Yeah, we're just from Thornton, south of Barrie there.
Oh, okay, that's close to where I live. I'm in Cookstown.
Approaching
Oh, yeah.
altitude. Leaving altitude.
Yeah, I was just starting to rock a little bit.
Yep. Just a little side to side there.
What traffic, Alpha Tango Delta, clear the active.
Edenvale traffic, Skyline 1 is good to pick up 1 city, patch up at base 1 diamond loft of Edenvale and South of Wasaga.
Had a tough time hearing what he was saying, but something above the baseball diamonds, 4,100 feet. So hard to see other planes in the sky.
It's real hazy today.
Edenvale traffic, Challenger Kilo Alpha Quebec, backtracking 13 for departure south.
So he was doing something 1,000 feet higher than us, over top of the baseball diamonds, and I can't see him. Yeah, it's the heat causing that haze. All the evaporation and the moisture in the air.
Approaching altitude. Leaving altitude.
Getting a little more exciting on that thing, huh?
Yeah, starting to bounce now.
Well, you're doing the right thing with your hand. A lot of people do the wrong thing and squeeze the heck out of it, and they overcorrect. You're holding it perfectly. Just a gentle...
just so minimal movements is all it really takes.
Yeah.
So, like you said, there's no sense in bear gripping it.
There we go. There's these
traffic, Kilo Alpha Quebec departing 13 for the circuit, Edenvale.
Leaving altitude.
So generally with these thermals, pilots that are flying a far distance will climb up high enough to avoid them.
Approaching altitude.
It always depends on your, of course, your time of day and stuff like that, how bad they're going to be. Midday is the worst. Clear skies make it even worse than that. And heat increases it as well. So right now we're kind of just riding on the tops of them. That's why we're just kind of feeling them pushing the belly of the plane up and down.
So if we were to go down a few hundred feet, you'd really start to feel it.
It'll get a lot worse, yeah. So whenever we come into land, we're going to get punished for a bit. Yeah, these are pretty good ones up here. You're holding it together, nice.
Thank you.
A lot of people tense right up when they feel those.
I noticed it pushed us up a few hundred feet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just lifting straight up, just hot bubbles of air pushing up.
Right.
Edenvale traffic, Challenger Kilo Alpha Quebec, joining downwind 13, Edenvale.
So now if you were to go through like aviation college,
yep.
What is it you get from there?
I guess it all depends on which one, right? What program you enter into. There's different ones.
Okay, so I got a friend who now flies flow planes for like lodges up north.
Yep.
So, and I know he went to college for that. So.
All right, so he would have started with getting his PPL, private pilot license.
Which you could get through you?
You can get the Ultralight through me.
Right. So the private's the one with the more hours?
Private's the one that you need the minimum of 60 hours.
Okay.
Minimum, right? So 40 hours mandatory with an instructor, and 20 hours mandatory like solo hours. So people might need 50 hours solo. It depends on when the instructor's willing to sign you off.
Okay, so an instructor's with you?
Instructor's with you for the first 40 hours.
Okay.
Right? And then the next 20, an instructor supervises you from the ground. So you plan all your flights with them. They meet you at the airport. You go do a flight you talk about. Generally what you're going to be doing is takeoff, landing, circles. And you land and they check you off. Okay, another hour's done. So he would have got that. And then he would have got the next category, which is called the commercial license. The commercial license allows you to make money at a career of aviation.
Oh, okay.
It is a lot more math intensive because you have to start getting involved with weight, a lot of weight balance stuff.
Okay, yep.
And great license to have.
Yeah, it's a lot to go into it.
But it's a lot to go into it.
Yeah.
College would probably be a pretty cool route to do it that way because the structure will be pretty decently, and I'm sure it might be a little more affordable in college.
Yeah.
To do it privately, yeah, it would cost you some money.
Yeah.
Slow traffic, still off Quebec on base 13.
But every bit of hours you have towards that makes it even that much easier too, right?
Right.
So a person has to really look at what their long-term goal is, right, with flying.
If they want to make a career, is it a hobby or?
That's right.
Slow traffic, counter 0 off Quebec, turning final 13, stop and taxi back eastbound.
And some people like the hobby so much that they just become an instructor. So you could make some money at the hobby you love.
Yeah.
Right? Baseboard.
Oh yeah. Is there restrictions there for flying?
There is, yeah. We're far enough away. But if we get a little too close to the town of Angus, they'll start freaking out at us.
Well, that's Angus right there, eh?
Yep.
Oh, no way. Yeah, you do cover a good distance without really realizing it.
Real quick, like there's Barry.
Yeah. Crazy.
We can see Thornton from here, but it's tough to describe. It's going to be right off in this direction here.
Yeah.
Traffic, still off Quebec, backtracking 1
Like the Barry Agriplex.
Yep.
You can see their roofs right over there. There's a bunch of white roofs in the middle of the fields there.
Yeah, we drove by that on the way here.
Yeah, so if you follow that road a little bit further down, the Thornton's right there.
Yep.
Yeah, everything looks so close when you're up here.
Yeah, it does.
So let's turn this plane around towards the airport. You can do either a left or right turn, whatever you're more comfortable with. Wow, that's a dense forest below us.
Yeah, it is.
So, in order for us to land at this airport, we have to enter a thing we call the circuit. The circuit is an imaginary highway that exists above all airports. What it looks like is a rectangle on each side of the runway 1,000 feet over the ground.
Okay.
So, we're going to be landing on runway 13, which is pointed this way.
Okay.
It's numbered 13 based on its direction on the compass. So, on the compass, if you were sitting on the runway, it would be 130.
Okay.
This runway is 310 or 31.
I gotcha.
Now, since everybody's using 13, we're going to be coming in on 13. In order to enter into there, though, we have to come south of the airport over here.
Okay.
Lower down to 1,700 feet, because we want to be 1,000 feet over the ground. When we reach midfield of that airport, we're going to turn towards it and cross right over top of the runway at a 90-degree angle.
Okay.
We're going to pass that by about 3/4 of a mile, then take a left turn, maintaining 1,700 feet. We call that highway the downwind highway. So we're flying parallel with the runway off our left shoulder. Then we'll do another left turn and one more left turn for final approach.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a partial rectangle in the sky.
So you're coming in across, and then you're turning, and then you're turning to come and meet it head on.
That's right. As for instance, look down here, you'll see another grass runway there. This is sort of off the front of the plane.
Yeah, I see it there now.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so you can begin lowering this aircraft, push the nose forward. I'm going to reduce the power. The airspeed is the thing we don't want to exceed, so we don't want to start going too fast. If you see it going fast, just pull back on that stick. Okay, now 88, 90 is decent. If we start going in the hundreds, that's a little fast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a radio announcement to the airport and let them know we're coming in.
Edenvale traffic, SportStar, India, Juliet, Kilo Yankees, 5 miles southwest of the field at 2,700. Going to descend to circuit height, cross overhead the field, and join a mid-left downwind, 13.
So, what we say in flight training, we use our stick for our speed, we use our throttle to hold our altitude. So if we want to descend, we reduce our throttle and it lowers the altitude.
Okay.
We just use that stick to control how fast we do it at.
Right.
There's certainly reasons why we want to do certain procedures very fast, but for this one, we're just going to do it roughly at the same speed we were flying. So as you see that gauge coming closer and closer to 1,700 feet, just be prepared to start pulling back and leveling off. That's going to start getting bumpier and bumpier because we're within that close range to the ground. I'm even going to reduce that power more. Okay, we're just floating through the air. So now I'm just adding power again. We're still boogieing though, we're moving quick.
Approaching altitude.
There we go. We'll go a little bit more left here, just a touch more. I don't want to get too close to it yet. So look at that long runway, that's the one we're going to be using. We're going to take this plane and just kind of turn and go straight over the middle of it. So let's try to maintain 1,700 feet, pull back on that stick, and you can turn right towards the airport now. There's those thermals, they're going to get crazy here. Yeah, it's just lifting you up.
Yep.
Leaving altitude.
Yeah, sometimes it could be a real wild ride, man.
Approaching altitude.
That's it. We're just going to cross over to the other side of the airport, pass it by about 3/4 of a mile, then we're going to turn left and follow the direction of that runway with it off our left shoulder. So I'm going to make a radio announcement here.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet, Kilo Yankees, overhead the field to join a mid-left downwind, 13, full stop.
So this way gives the pilot an opportunity to look at the runway, make sure it's clear, no animals or people on it, equipment, have a look at that windsock. I looked down at it, it really didn't look like it was doing anything. So somewhere around here we're going to do a turn, 90 degrees in this direction, so you can start turning that way.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet, Kilo Yankees, turning mid-left downwind, 13, full stop.
That's it, we'll just level off right here, point this
Edenvale traffic,
direction.
Kilo Bravo is on the backtrack 08 for 13.
Alright, we blew right up there. We're going to have to fly out this way a little bit more because
We went up a bit.
we went up a bit and we got really close to that runway.
Altitude.
If you look off your left shoulder, you'll see the runway.
Yep.
Just trying to get a little further away from it there. There we
Okay.
go. So right there is our 1,700 feet. We'll maintain this flight direction for a second. So I'll try to let you do as much of this landing as possible.
Okay.
I'm going to have to get all the flaps on and all that stuff, but I'll help you through it. Alright, so right around here we're going to do a left turn.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet, Kilo Yankees, turning left base, 13, full stop.
Okay, we're nice and high here. So what we're going to do is we're going to level these wings, go straight in this direction. This is called our left base, 90 degrees to that runway. This is where we're slowing this plane down. See that
Okay,
needle?
yep, coming down now.
Now that needle's slow, I can put my first stage of flaps on, second stage of flaps on. Our airspeed we want to achieve for this maneuver is 65 knots.
Okay.
Wow, we're nice and high.
Is that good?
It's okay.
Leaving altitude.
It's better to be high than low, but it might take some maneuvers to get us down. Might have to do what we call a slip.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee is final 13.
All right, so you'll notice there's a lot of pressure on the stick now.
Yep.
The stick motion has become a lot quicker. We need to maintain 65 knots with this plane. So by doing that, I'm pulling back on that stick to slow her down.
Okay.
The engine is off right now. It's not doing anything.
Yeah. Quiet now.
Yeah. There we go. We sunk nicely here. So I'm still watching that speed. 65 is what we need. I'm not so much worried about the runway yet. It looks like we're going to make that runway with no problem. Adding a touch of power there to hold us up. Right there. There's our sweet spot. Now I'm using my rudders to straighten the nose of the plane out. That's it. We kind of touched with the belly up in the air like that.
Bravo is on the backtrack 13.
That's ideal.
That's ideal. You want the two main wheels at the back here to touch, and then you set the nose down. If you set the nose down first, a lot of bad things can happen.
Yeah, well, I guess it's one wheel as opposed to two, and all the weight's there too, right?
Exactly.
And Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees down and clear, active 13 on Delta to the apron.
That was good, man. You did very well.
Thank you.
How did that feel?
Oh, it felt great.
Awesome.
A lot better than the 45 seconds I did before.
Exactly, right? Well, you got a chance to feel what it's like to really steer one of these things, right?
And it's different too, so the Twin Otter that I flew before
have the yoke.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like driving a car.
Yep.
This is, and left-handed for me too, it's...
Yeah. It takes a while, right?
A little confusing at first, but...
Now, were you sitting on the left side, though, when you're probably on the right side?
I was on the right side.
That's why you used the right hand, though, right?
Right.
If you were on that side, you would notice if you have to reach anything, you can't.
You have to do it with that.